Good morning, team. So today we will be learning about how to import the sources, how to create our first transformation and first mapping, and how to use it in the workflow and run it, see the log and identify whether it is executing the logic correctly. That's the intention of this class, so that you will come to know, or you will get the hands-on on each and every client tool of Informatica. Okay, so before doing anything, let me check I have the source and target correct. So here is the source database. Once you get the VM, you get all these source tables also along with the connections, so you don't need to worry, or else we have to create the source. So I have the source system already ready. So if I go and query this table, I can see the data. Okay, so total of 15 records. Then at the same time I need to have the same kind of target structure. So I am creating the target table. So table is created. So let me just query the table. Okay, so the table is empty. Okay, or else, okay, let me create with the different name. So let me make this as target underscore T underscore EMP. So just to identify which is the source, which is the target, I am just making it as T underscore EMP. So my T underscore EMP is created. So right now it is empty. Okay, so I need to bring these two tables into my Informatica. So first open up the Informatica Power Center, then connect to your repository, which is either test or um, class repo. So I will connect it to class repo. Here my Informatica server is up and running. Okay. So let us connect to the repository, one of the repository. So here is the place where we do all our logic implementation or designing of our mappings. So we will learn how to design a mapping. Okay. So first connect to the repository, then go to source analyzer. Okay. So here these two tables are already imported in the previous class. I will just remove these two. Okay, so now I do not have any sources. Okay, see here you will have multiple options. See, first one is source analyzer, second one is target analyzer. Here also I will remove these targets, save it. Okay, then transformation developer, then Maplet Designer, then Mapping Designer. We will learn about each and every option of these five small clients. Okay, let's say if you go to Source Analyzer, here is the place where we import our source tables. When it comes to Target Designer, you have to come here and import your targets. Then next step is go to your Mapping Designer. Here you design your mapping or your logic. So whatever we design, we will call it as a mapping. Okay, under the mapping we can use transformations. Okay, so first step in the development is you have to import your source tables. So click on Source Analyzer, then go to Sources, import from database. So before importing, you have to give your source database connections. So choose this. Your password is same as SDBU. Connect. Then it will show you all the tables available under the source. So first table I would like to import is EMP. Okay, if you want to import multiple tables in real time, you can just click on control and select the tables like this, customer, employee, like this. If you don't want to select, control and select it. So my first target for the today's class is I would like to import one table, one source table and one target table, design simple mapping and go to workflow and run it and see whether it is able to transform the data from source to target. So say OK. So your source table has been imported into your source analyzer or your Informatica. Then save it, Control S. See the comment here, source employee table is inserted. Where it is inserting? It is inserting the data into your repository or the repository database user which you have created earlier. For example, class 1, InfoRepo, all these database users we have created in the previous class so that we can maintain our metadata. Okay, so now source is imported. Next step is import the target. Go to targets, import from database, provide the target database details, connect it. Then here you will see all the target tables. So I would like to import T underscore EMP. So say OK. So your target is imported. Then save it, Control S. See, until unless you save, it won't insert the record into the database. It means it won't save the metadata. So you have to save it. So target T underscore EMP is inserted into the repository database. So now you have source and target tables ready. Okay. Now you have to design a mapping. So which connects the source and target and do the transformations. Okay. For that you have to go to mapping designer. Class 1 second. Okay, transformation developer role. See here we have map transformation developer role. 1 second. So if you want to design your first mapping, go to mapping designer. Okay, then say create mapping. Okay, create. So I will say mapping underscore EMP. See here you have some naming conventions. Let's say your mapping name should be starting with small letter M underscore, then table name, then what kind of logic you are going to write it. So that we will discuss later. Treat this as your first class and try to understand how to import the source, target, then how to connect from source to target, then how to run the logic or how to use the next client tool called workflow manager, then how to see the log. That is the aim of this class. So I am just making all the things as simple as possible. So say M underscore EMP, Now your mapping name is created, then you get your source table into the mapping, then target table. See, I'm just dragging drop, I'm doing just drag and drop. Let me delete it. Okay, see, I have employee table here, I have target employee table here. I just want to get these two onto the mapping designer so that I can connect these two. Okay, so let me first get employee from here to here. Okay, then drag drop this t underscore emp here. Okay, this is how you get the objects into your mapping designer. See this, whenever you drag drop your employee from source to mapping designer, you already got the source qualifier transformation. See, source qualifier is one of the transformation. Transformation is nothing but a placeholder where we write the logic, or where Informatica holds some logic. So source qualifier is your first transformation which gets as a default along with your source table. Since we are dealing with database tables, you get the source qualifier as a default. If you are dealing with flat files, whenever you drag drop your flat file structure from source to mapping designer, you don't get this source qualifier as a default. Okay, the way Informatica has designed your mapping designer or transformation is, it allows you to make the simple development, or it always help you to design in a very quick manner. So Informatica understood that your employee or your source table is coming from Oracle database, so it automatically, whenever you drag drop your source table, it automatically creates your source qualifier transformation. Okay, so source qualifier transformation always work with database sources only, not with the flat file. Okay, then in case of flat file, how to deal the filters and all, we will see. We have a filter transformation which can help us to filter on flat files. So those are the things we will be learning later class. Okay, first we'll take it as normal. I hope you understand the things. Srinivas and team, I think you are fine, right? Okay, so we just imported source and target. Along with the source, you get the source qualifier. For example, I haven't got any source qualifier. Let me delete this. Okay, let's assume that you haven't got the source qualifier, and let's assume that this employee is the flat file. Now if you want to have your source qualifier transformation, go to transformation. Okay, tab, create, then it, it allows you to choose which kind of transformation you would like to put in the mapping designer or create the transformation. So it has the list of transformations. The first transformation is source qualifier. Just say source qualifier, enter a name for that. So we give source qualifier transformation as SQ. So create it. See, it is asking you to select the source. Okay, select the sources you want this transformation to use. So my source is employee. So say OK, done. See, the source qualifier transformation has created and started taking the connection between the source called employee. See this, it maps all the columns with the help of your column name as well as data type. So it automatically connects. So which means whatever the data or whatever the records you have in the source, which are going to directly transfer to the source qualifier. Then from source qualifier to target, you have to give connections that I will show you. But before giving that, I would like to walk you through what are all the options available in source qualifier. Okay, that's more important. See, learning Informatica is nothing but learning the options of your transformations. So one of such transformation is your source qualifier. So now I will open and show you all the available options in source qualifier. So double click on that. If you want to open any transformation, you just need to double click on this. So it opens and it says that transformation name is source qualifier. So we have given this name, and the original transformation type is source qualifier. Then ports, what are the ports available? Input and output. See, in Informatica you will see three kind of uh, ports. One is input, another one is output, and another one is variable. So variable you will see in another transformation. Source qualifier will not have that port. So I will talk about those ports. Port is nothing but a connection between your previous source and your transformation. See, now the source qualifier accept input from employee, which means it takes employee number into the column called employee number, which takes employee name into the employee name, and you can connect this employee number to another target or another transformation. You can build another transformation here, maybe expression. Okay, so you can transform data from source qualifier to another transformation as well as target. That's the reason source qualifier has input and output. Okay, don't worry about that. So we'll slowly learn about all of them. So go to ports, it will have input and output. See, it will have always data type. Whenever we imported the source, it has identified the employee number as decimal or number, then employee name as string, and it has precision and scale, which means typically when you are building the table by using create table name, you will specify the length of that column or what kind of data source it would be storing. That information it takes default as a default from database. Okay, then go to properties. Here is the place every transformation will have some properties, so you have to learn each and every property. The first property is SQL query. Okay, I will just walk you through about SQL query only to make this class successful. Remaining things we will learn in the next class. So go to SQL query and click on generate SQL. One second, my database name is SDBU. I want all of these fields. One second. Okay, for now just forget about that. Say apply. Okay, now I would like to transform my entire data to the target. So you can just right click, select all, drag drop from here to here, so that it will start automatically mapping all the fields. And if you don't like to transform couple of columns to the target, or if you don't want to transfer the data, you can click on this link and remove it, delete. Let's say I don't want to even transfer higher data also, you can delete it, then do Control S, so that it will save the mapping. It will save the mapping. So no changes detected, it's already saved. So once this transformation is saved, you have to run this transformation from workflow manager. Before running it, we have to create a session and attach that session to the workflow, then run it. The way how we run the mappings are, we have to first create a session, then attach that to the workflow, then run it. So to do that, you have to go to workflow manager, say OK. So create a task, session, okay. Enter the session name, session underscore emp, session underscore, the session is for this m underscore emp mapping. So I create a session. So choose your mapping. See, if you have 100 mappings already created, it will list out all the mappings here. So you have to choose appropriate mapping. So mapping is your logic. So I have kept my logic in the mapping called m underscore emp. So I am choosing it. So choose it, done. Then Control S, save it. So it started showing some red symbol. You have to identify that. So go here, come to the mappings, provide your source and target details. See, right now the source, it says relational reader, that is good. Give 1 second. Team, here we have to specify the source connection value and the target connection value. So here I am specifying my source and target. So source and target, say OK. See, here is the workflow designer. I have given the connectivities, everything. So go here and specify your source and target, which right now we have built it. Still something is missing. Oh, workflow is valid. Valid. We have given all the connections. Okay. Okay, I will specify here also. Actually, it has to come as default. This is my target. Say OK. See, it got validated now. So whenever you see some issue with the session or workflow, it will start highlighting with red mark or red pin attached to that. So Team, it's very simple task. What I did is, first I have created a mapping which will have source, target and source qualifier. It's a direct mapping, one-to-one mapping kind of thing. There is no transformation logic written anywhere in this. It's a very simple, straightforward mapping. Then you come to workflow manager, workflow designer. Here you have to design a session and attach that session to the workflow. So what I did is, I have created a session s_emp, and in the properties I have provided the connection details. See, your mapping in your mapping, or your mapping designer, it knows that where it is coming from. Let's say the EMP is coming from SDBU, because while importing itself you have specified that you are trying to import the table from SDBU database and the target is from TDBU, and you have given the connections, everything here. So when it comes to your workflow designer, it don't know where the table is coming from. That's the reason we have provided source and target details here. So before providing source and target details, I have built the SDBU connection and TDBU connection. Okay, for now just remember this, we have to provide the connections. Tomorrow I will once again show you how to create the connection from scratch. Okay, so today I just would like to show you how we can run it and how can we see the data. That's it. So I have provided the source and target details, then saved it. So now the workflow is valid. To start this session, you can start it from here, or else you can start it from the tab. So I'm just starting from here. So start workflow from task or start task. You click this, so it started executing it, and you can monitor what is happening from workflow monitor. So here is the workflow monitor. It opened automatically and it started saying that this workflow is successful. S_m_emo workflow is successful. So if you go to target, the target has to get the data. So few minutes back we have created the table, and the table name is t_emp. So I will go and query this table. So the data has not yet come. So let's see what is the problem. So your source connection is SDBU and your target connection is TDBU. We have chosen that insert. So everything has the correct. So it's successful. The previous ones were failed. There were two reasons. One is, while building the mapping in the source qualifier, I thought of showing how the SQL query Informatica is going to fire. So I tried to just build the source SQL query, but for some reason it started erroring out, and the column names whichever I have selected, they were left it here. It means it was trying to execute something like this. So it was trying to execute some query like this: select employee number, e-name, salary, commission, hire date. That's it. From EMP, from EMP was missing. That's the reason it was failing. It started it started and firing the query: select employee number, e-name, salary, commission, hire date. That's it. There is from class missing. The from class was missing from source qualifier. So that's the reason it started erroring out. So I have rectified that issue. then I saved the mapping. Okay, then I opened the workflow designer, came here, I just refresh the session, right click on this, so refresh mapping. So it means if you have done any changes to the mapping, then you can get that details into the session once again. So I just refreshed it, refresh mapping. Then once it is refreshed, you have to validate it. I just validated it, then save it, Control S, then start running the workflow. Once you start running the workflow, it will start show you the status, what is happening, along with the timestamp. So the right timestamp was 7:55 a.m. Then see the workflow name, under that you will see session. If you want to get the log, then right click it, then get session log. Here it will start writing each and every detail. So what is repository name, what is the session name, then folder names, okay, workflow name, then what is the table name, everything it writes, and it start execution here. See this reader source, it is trying to read the data from SDBU, and the database name is ORCL. So here is the tag starting data movement. Then what is the writer connection, everything it writes. Then finally it writes the insert statement, insert into this table with these values. So if it fails, we have already seen what is the failure message it gives. First time it has given Oracle driver error saying that the connection was not there. Later it started giving the error saying that you are trying to do select employee number, e-name, salary, commission, hire date, but without the from class. So that's how it writes every log, every single detail it writes to the log. Then it started loading the data. Then it gives you session load summary also. See, applied rows are 15, rejected rows 0. Okay, Arati, no problem. You can watch the video. So it starts writing each and every log information to the session log. So whenever you face any issue, like today what we have seen, the connection issues, then the second one is the SQL query was not correctly written, though every kind of information you can find it from the session log. So I think with the class, um, you have learned couple of extra things. I have started this class to show you how to import the tables, how to import the transformation, how to link between the source, target, transformation, everything, then how to create a session and workflow, and how to link it, then run it. Okay, with couple of hitches or problems in the tool. So you got the chance to see how to build the connections. I mean, I expected the connections were there because it's a VM. That's fine. Anyway, I have to show how to build the connections or how to create the connections, then link it with the sessions. So we have seen that. Then we have seen one issue also. So it means it has given a chance to learn how to debug also. I think it's pretty good. I thought of covering how to show the log, how to debug it, how to create an error and show the log. Everything I thought of covering in the next session, but because of this problem in the tool, or because we forgot the connections, we got the chance to see all of them in the first class itself. Now I will open up for the question and answers.